Today, I'm going to take a quick look and do an after-action report of sorts, but mainly talk about gameplay for Carlo A. Rossi's Dogfight, Rule the Skies in 20 Minutes from PSC Games. I unboxed this and really didn't do a lot of description because I had watched a little bit of gameplay, but it had been a while and really didn't know what I was looking at. So I'll put a link to that unboxing so you can at least see all the components and everything. But this video is really kind of going into a little bit of the gameplay on it and kind of augmenting my initial unboxing. But again, I'll put a link to that in the description. What is Dogfight? Rule the skies in 20 minutes. Well, does it live up to its name? Yes. You can rule the skies in 20 minutes. The games are not that long. Even the advanced games. The advanced games, could take a little bit more than 20 minutes. The basic game is 20 minutes or less sometimes. So what is Dogfight? Well, Dogfight is a World War I aerial combat game, basically one-on-one, although the advanced games can get into a little bit different scenarios. But it is a relatively simple game in that it's a tile draw game. You're going to be putting tiles in a bag based on what plane you select, and pulling those tiles out and having a selection of 6 tiles. Well, you start with 6, and you'll have 6 the first 2 turns. You'll have whatever's left over for the last turn. It goes 3 rounds, I should say, so the last round. And you're going to be selecting these tiles to move your plane. So basically your planes start on this grid. The board is basically not really a grid, it's a board. The board really is just a location device. It shows you where your planes are in relation to the other planes. They'll each start on these circles with the plane there. So you start there, so you're 4 zones away or 4 areas away, and so you can't hit each other there. You have to be within 3 of another plane in order to have an attack or have a hit. And you have to be behind the plane in order to have a hit. And the third requirement is you need to have a tile. You need to place a tile that has these little yellow stars, which are your hits on them. So this is how this game ended up. Red took the last shot and took out the blue. You keep track of damage on the planes with these little cubes here. Each of the planes are different in this game. They recommend starting off with the red and blue, but there are other colored planes that come in the game, and there are differences in the planes. The planes are not all the same. And what are those differences? Well, those differences are going to be based on the distribution of tiles that you're going to have for those planes. So this brown plane has, shows you the number of each one of these tiles it has. So it has 3 4s, 1 3 with 1 hit, 3 4s with 1 hit, and so on. That's your distribution. It also has, like this right here, it has 3 zeros with the 1, 2, or 3 hits. That's pretty interesting there. And this shows you how much damage that the plane can do, and also if it has any special abilities. The blue and the red don't have any special abilities, but the other planes might have special abilities of how you draw stuff out of the bag, or how you allocate hits, or how you allocate damage. And so you've got a brown, a green, a yellow, a purple, a black, and a white, and a gray. These are for a certain scenario, I think. But these are the different planes, and the red and the blue, those are the different planes, and show you the distribution that you have as well. So you'll keep track of hits on here. Some of the planes might have different hits on their card as well. That might be a uniqueness of the plane. But basically, you're going to be drawing these tiles out of the bag and then putting them behind your screen, so you don't want the other side to know what your options are. This is very much a tense two-player game, and you'll play a tile down, and then you'll move that amount. So if the red plays the 4, it moves 4 around the board. At the same time, the blue will move whatever the number is on its tile. And you just keep doing that with trying to create a situation where you are behind it, you're within 3 areas of it, and you have a hit on it. You have some of these markings, these yellow stars on there. That's it. That's the basic game, and you can play with any of these planes. Now, there's a little bit some extra rules here on some of these planes, but if you play with the blue and the red, that's the game. That's everything, pretty much. I mean, the only other thing you need to know about is on this board, there are some places where you can do loops. So like here, you see a loop, and here you see a loop. Well, if you play this tile down, that tile shows that it's straight, but if you flip that over, it shows the loop. So if you were to play this loop and you were here, then you could move in the loop instead. But you have to be on that spot, and you have to play a tile that shows a loop. Now, it's either straight or it's on a loop. The way this game ended up was I was behind him, I really only needed 2 shots left, and I ended up playing a 1 with these 3 shots or 3 hits, and that took out the blue plane. Blue plane never got a shot off on the red plane. You know, that happens. Again, this plays very fast, so if you want to just set it up and go again, you can play a best of 2 out of 3 or whatever you want to set up to play the game. But that is the basic game, is moving around this board to try to figure out if you're behind. As I said, these other planes might add some other rules to it, and the back of the screens here are a little bit of a player's aid to show what some of those different rules are for those different planes. And so there's some iconography there, but the rules aren't that complicated. There's also, and of course you get, for each one of those planes, they have their own tile set of how, that you're going to draw from to play that plane. The other rules that you have some advanced scenarios in here. There's a little bit talking about the other planes there, but you have some advanced scenarios like espionage, and so there's different counters for that, and there's different setup, and there's different things you need to do for the espionage scenario. There is also a bombing scenario that you can set up for. There's a rescue scenario, and I think, is that it? And then there is an escort scenario. So you've got like 4 scenarios there, and then you can play any of those scenarios solo. And there's a solo bot movement to go along with the game that talks a little bit about what you need to do for solo movement. But basically, you need to play the basic game. It doesn't really have a solo. Well, I haven't tried playing this solo with. The way the rules read is that you're supposed to play when you play solo, you're supposed to play the advanced games. But maybe you can do this too. Maybe I should try doing that solo. Haven't done that. I mean, one way you can play this solo, which I've tried before, is just dump all the opponent's tiles in a bag or an opaque cup, and then just draw them randomly. Now that might be pretty easy because they're not going to have any read on the situation. They're not using any intelligence to understand what's going on. But that's a quick way to learn the game if you want to try that. But I need to try this bot card and see how that works out. And again, there's separate counters for the different scenarios that you add to the mix to play the game. So anyway, that is the game of Dogfight in 20 minutes. It really does live up to its title. It is a dogfight. It is 20 minutes. And it is interesting. I haven't really played enough of the planes to really understand the differences in these allocations. Like, for example, this red plane here doesn't have any zeros, it has a lot of, it has 5 ones, one movement with hits on them, and has 1 5 movement, whereas the blue has 5 5 movement. So it moves around the board a lot more with hits. This one moves around the board a lot less. I don't know what that represents. I mean, that kind of represents if you're in a situation like right here, you want to stay behind them, so you're probably wanting to move less. This plane's going to want to get out of that situation. It's probably going to want to move more, but you don't know what the other side's going to pick. So that's really kind of what the game is. Anyway, this clearly does not in my opinion, does not outstay its welcome. It's something you can throw down. It's really kind of a filler game. You can throw down and play in 20 minutes or less. Or if you want to play, you could probably play, 3 games of this, do a best 2 out of 3, and play that in, not much more than 20 minutes. So anyway, that's what I have for you today. That is Dogfight, and from PSC Games. And I'd love to know your thoughts on this one. Again, I'll put a link to the unboxing so you'll have the complete look at all the components, but then also have a little bit of this discussion of gameplay. Thanks for stopping by. Quick note, I forgot to mention that there's a whole nother side of the board. So you get a double-sided board. This is kind of the basic side, and everything's really the same color. The only thing you really need to know is if you're here, you can hit somebody in the purple, but if you're here, you can't hit anybody in that. So you can shoot from this area and hit somebody if they're in the purple. This one is pretty much completely protected if you're stuck but also cannot hit anybody. Now on the flip side of the map, which is kind of the advanced side, but also this side is required for some of the advanced scenarios. You see some extra boxes here, so this is kind of required for some of the advanced scenarios. And this exit box is really for, and you see that on both sides of the board. That's for one of the advanced scenarios as well. And you can, if you're here, you can hit somebody that's trying to get out or and away from the conflict. And so that's what these different dual colors mean. If you see part of that color on there, then you can hit something of that color. So somebody here in purple can hit somebody here. Somebody here in green can hit green. Someone here in brown can hit brown. And so the dual color, there's a little bit more tactics and trying to line up your planes a little bit more based on the colors that they are on and what they can hit. So that's a little bit something that again, this is a little bit more of an advanced board, but also a board that's required for some of the scenarios. So left that out. If you looked at the unboxing, you'll see this board, but left that out in my explanation. Thanks all. Thanks for watching.